Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today, we're doing a little property you guys might have heard of from the last Thor movie. They kind of stole the storyline and they commandeered it for their own uses. But we're doing the story from Incredible Hulk, the second volume, I believe, and it's called Planet Hulk. So, little history on this. This was one of the first comics I ever bought when I moved back to Texas. Like, the first issue of Planet Hulk just happened to be on the stands, like that Wednesday I went in or whatever. And I was like, I didn't even know what to buy at the time. So I was like I didn't know any writers or like any properties I was interested in or anything. I would just go through and go, that cover's cool. That cover's cool. That cover's cool. And this had a pretty cool cover. So I was like, oh, Hulk, cool. I'll just pick that up. And it just happened to be the start of like this awesome run. And I think it's issues 192 through 106, I believe, or something like that.
I think 92 through
105. 92
through, yeah.
What did I say?
You said 192.
Oh, okay, sorry. So yeah, it's issues 92 through issue 105. Yeah. So, had you read this before, right?
Yeah. This is the time that I was like actually actively reading comics. I read all of Civil War, and then this was right after that, and it was what Hulk went off and it happened after that, and that was cool. And I remembered reading this. I actually remember
this is before Civil War.
No, this is after Civil War.
No, it's not.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the Hulk was gone.
Yeah, Hulk was gone during Civil War.
That's right. Okay, so this was that's what it was. This was pre-Civil War, and then right when they're like, oh God, we finished the whole fight with the superheroes. Ooh, everything's okay. Then Hulk comes.
Hulk comes back.
Hey guys, guess what?
Hulk angry. So
and he can talk real well now.
Yeah. He has known love and he is angry now.
That's right. And then the Skrull invasion.
Yes, and then the Skrulls happen. So
okay,
for all those, that's comic book
timeline.
To anybody who doesn't read comics, just so you know, every year or so they have big events. So they had an event called Civil War, which was the basis for the Captain America movie called Civil War. Then before that was what was going on in Planet Hulk, which is what we read today. And then after that, Hulk returns from the planet, and that was called World War Hulk. Both of those are really good, so you can read them both, and they're great. But yeah, this one's just I can't do math. Let's see, it's 92 to 105. That's 10, 11, 12, 13 issues long. So just so you know, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's a different planet with different races and different kind of names.
A lot of new things.
We're going to cover the general story, kind of different than what we normally do, where we kind of go issue by issue. We're just gonna cover the general story of this, hit all the major plot points, but we would definitely recommend that you read this.
Yeah, there's so many different weird character names and like little side pieces of information about like the things going on this weird planet.
Like politics and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, oh, I didn't know any of that. And none of that was in that Thor movie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it works and it fits for the story and you get it, how it all connects together, but it's a lot. We're going to go with the main, like, what's going on with Hulk?
Yeah. So what's going on with Hulk? It starts off. And this is...
I just want to say that just made me think we should have a recurring segment every time now. What's going on with Hulk?
Yeah. What's with Hulk? Anyway, so this is like one of the best. I always rip on Marvel for spoon feeding us everything and being like, oh, did you know Hulk was a green monster on every page, and like Bruce Banner is also Hulk. See Hulk #1. It's like, yeah, we fucking get it, Marvel, okay? But this book, they did it right, at least in the trades, and I believe in the issues too. But I read the actual hardcover of this, and they have like a little previously on the Hulk, and what would have been going on page. And then after that, they just fucking throw you into this. They don't hold your hand through any of it. They're like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. It made me feel like an adult reading a comic for once with a Marvel comic. But yeah. So previously, I'm just going to say what was previously going on. Basically, all the other heroes that we know and love, like Iron Man, Shield, was it Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, all those big brains and like heads of family and stuff from that are loved in Marvel. They were like, hey, basically, Hulk's too crazy, and we kind of know something's gonna happen because they kind of knew Civil War was gonna happen, coming up. So they're like, hey, big fella, like we're you know what, we need you to fix a satellite for us, and it's gonna fall on Earth, so we need you to like take it out of orbit or whatever. And then he's like, okay, so Hulk goes up there, and it turns out like a video starts playing on the ship, and it's like, it's like, hey Hulk, sorry about this, but we found a planet that's like not inhabited and it's perfect for you. It's like a beach planet, and you can like live there and not worry about killing stuff, and it's all love and everything, and you're gonna be like, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. It's like a vacation forever.
Yeah.
And then
be safe.
Basically like, we love you, but like we're gonna make this decision for you because you're too powerful and you fuck shit up too much. So then Hulk, freaks out and kind of like starts hulking out in the ship, and then it makes the ship. I think it puts it off course, but
malfunctions, and
even though it goes off course, there's like it goes through like a wormhole, and the wormhole takes it to this planet, and the planet is called Sakaar, which I believe it's called in the Thor movie.
It's called Sakaar.
Okay, so there's a wormhole. They don't say how or why it happens, but Hulk ends up, and he just like appears. And he's like, what the heck? What the fuck happened? And there's all these guards and people like arresting other people already around him. He's like, ah. And apparently, like, this is what there's a kingdom that finds slaves / gladiators / soldiers that like that get sucked into the wormhole and appear at this endpoint. So like they always have people stationed there like ready to look through the junk or whatever and pick out stuff. So they find Hulk. And they're like, cool. And, we all know Hulk. He's, like, invulnerable and shit. And he's like, oh, you think you're going to hurt me? And he, like, starts to Hulk out, and they shoot him, and he, like, bleeds. It actually, like, hits him.
Yeah.
And they're like, haha, don't you know, like, the portal makes you weaker? And so, like, he falls down. He passes out from the pain or whatever. Whatever gun they use is pretty strong, I guess. And then, so he passes out, and they put, like,
some kind of restraining.
Yeah, they put like
disc
just like on the movie, except they're bigger. Like in the Thor movie, they had like little baby discs that were like on their neck or whatever. But this is like on their chest, kind of like it looks like a big jewel or something they put there. So, and then they're like, okay, well, Hulk seems like a big brute. We'll just put him in like a gladiator event, and he'll die.
Yeah, it's basically. For entertainment, he's a big guy, so
yeah. And they lock him in a box. I like how they show him the first time. They just put him in a box, and I like how they show it like in the comic too. He's like, what's going on? Like, where am I? Like, because he wakes up in this box, and he's like, I'll get out of here. Like, they don't know, but I'm already like recovering. And he smashes his way out of the box, and then he comes out, and he's like, what the fuck? And he's like in the middle of a gladiator arena, and like all these people are getting murdered by this like tentacle monster. And he's like, oh shit. And then they're like, yeah, see, he's gonna die. And then he just like bursts through, like just jumps in like right through the middle of the thing, like tears a hole through him, and it's like gets all over the king and everything. So it's a very fun graphic.
Yeah.
first scene of that.
Oh, that's interesting. They go back and forth. They call, so like there's one major ruler of all of Sakaar, and they call him like the king, and then they call him the emperor sometimes. Like, I know those are technically kind of interchangeable, but
yeah.
But it's just weird to see them go back.
Maybe
and
it's to
forth
his
with
face they call him the emperor, and then when they're just talking about him in general, they're like
and the king. Yeah.
Yeah. But
oh, we forgot to mention that this is written. By Greg Pak.
Yes, this is written by Greg Pak, who, like I said, I had not heard of him at the time. Ever since this run, I will pretty much try to pick up whatever he's writing at the time. Like if I go in, I'm like, oh, what's this? And it says Greg Pak on the front. I'm like, oh, I'll check it out because he's a good writer. And then the art was done by
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
Let me say that first. You can go through.
There's a lot of people, but mainly I think it was done by Carlo Pagulayan. Pagulayan? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but I believe that is the guy who did most of it. So it's not, and even though the art changes from issue to issue somewhat,
it still looks really
it didn't
good.
I didn't feel like it jarred differently that much or anything. So.
No, like there's some differences when you go back. Like remember when we were doing the Dark Knight. Some of that, the back and forth was a little jarring sometimes, but like,
right, this one didn't feel jarring.
No, it was very smooth.
Yeah, nothing felt like, oh, this is like it's not like you got a completely different artist to do it. You know, it's like everybody tried to stay like in a certain model, you know, for everybody.
That's the Marvel way.
Yeah. And so the first kind of chapter introduces like, okay, Hulk is still weak. He can still bleed and stuff. But like he's definitely getting stronger now that he's, you know, been in that box for a little while. And like this is where they introduce like, oh, you see a guy named Meek. That's like his buddy, and he's in the movie. You might know him. He's like the bug, the insect looking creature. And then Korg, who was in this, he's like a big rock monster. But I kept reading him as like, hey, I'm Korg.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro, Korg.
That's true. I unfortunately reading back at this now, I only read it in Taika Waititi's voice.
Yes,
so.
it's very hard to read this without that. So if you can read this book on its own and then go watch that movie, and then you know.
Both are good in their own right now. Like,
yeah.
literally rereading this is fantastic. And I love the story. And I love the differences. But then, like, Thor Ragnarok's a really fun movie, too. And a lot of people hate on that one, too, because it's, like, funnier. He's like
I don't mind the movie. Yeah, the movie's fine.
I like the movie.
This was just, like, serious shit. This was, like...
Yeah, this is, like, shit went down. And
yeah. I was, like... I almost cried at the end. I was like, Jesus. Like,
that's true. With all the fucking shit that... Like, Hulk goes through a lot of shit in this.
Hulk... You know, for a monster that just kills stuff, they did a lot. He did, like, Greg Pak went out of his way to make it very, like, touching, and there's a lot of story arcs with different characters in this, and he makes sure everybody kind of gets their own closure on stuff. And I mean, he did a really good job interweaving all the different, like, points and stuff. But so we get an introduction to Meek, who's like the insect guy, and then we also see like the introduction of a character who's like the king's head guard, or the emperor's head guard, and her name is Kyra?
Kyra?
Or Kyra? Yeah.
It's
Kyra?
Kyra or Kyra?
Kyra?
I don't know how it's pronounced exactly.
Okay, we're going to call her Kai.
I mean, to be honest, though, for like 3/4 of this book, they only call her the lieutenant as well.
Right.
Like, you really don't get her name until much later on.
Yes. So I'm going to call her Kai just to make it easier. So
Kai, I like it.
So yeah, we get introduced to Kai in this, and she's like a badass, like the most badass warrior apparently on this planet besides Hulk now, but no one knows that. So she actually like he was like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, now I know who to smash because the Emperor's there, and he's like Meek was like, oh look, there's the Emperor's there. He might like favor upon us or whatever. And then Hulk's like, oh, now I know who to kill. So then he's like about to smash him, and Kai comes out and shoots him with a big like laser gun, and is basically able to like get him down into the pit again. And then Kai's like, oh, I'm gonna go kill him for you, Emperor. And the Emperor's like, no, I can handle this fucking green monster or whatever. And so he throws a sword down. And he's like, you know what? You know, just because of that, like, I'll fight you to the death. And he's like very cocky, but he's never fought a Hulk before.
And I like that. So like he's like, when you just see him, he's in his like kind of like whatever garb, and he's just kind of like a normal looking humanoid, but he's pink and he's got some alienness to him. Yeah. But then to fight, he has to put on a giant
like
mech
a mech suit. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me just get into my
such a bioorganic,
Evangelion transformer, and we'll fight. That's how strong I am. So yeah, he's got like all these badass, this badass armor on. It's like a big mech suit. He's got a sword. And he throws Hulk like a shield and a sword, but I'm sure they're like shittily made compared to his suit. And like they're fighting, and he's able to like cut Hulk with his sword because, like we said, Hulk's still a little bit weakened. But then, like miraculously, and no one ever thought this would happen, Hulk cuts the Emperor on the face and is like, haha, Hulk slash. And like the Emperor's like, what the fuck? Because like he just bled in front of all his followers. And then he's like, don't worry, no worries, it's fine. You know, I'm a man of my word. Like if you could cut me, like I'll set you free or whatever, or I'll let you earn your freedom. And so Kai comes out and like basically electrocutes him, gets him down. They're able to like take him down together. And then like they're like behind the scenes, they're like they're wrapping up and everybody's leaving and they're like, are you really gonna let him like live? He's like, fuck no. He's gonna go in the pit of like hell or whatever. They have this like this weird pit where there's like lava monsters. Yeah, they call it the maw. And there's like lava monsters or something in there. And so like basically I think it's like a training or like weeding out the weak gladiators. So they get like a bunch of slaves that are like prospects to be gladiators. Then they throw them in the maw. And if you can survive the maw, you get to be fight for your honor or fight for your freedom in the actual like gladiator games or something. So basically, they send him to the maw, and he doesn't have like a hard time at all there. But that's where he finally meets everybody. So he sees like he gets to fight with Korg and a couple other people.
There's one called Primus Vand. He's because he kind of has some part of an arc that, because he basically he looks like the same race as the Emperor, so you know like what's going on there. Something happened to him.
Yeah,
obviously.
There's like a pink race, which is what the Emperor is. There's a silver looking race, which is what Kai is. Then there's like the bug people, which is Meek, and then some stone. Well, I guess Korg's the only stone person in this, right?
No, there's some more. But
his brother is, but I think that they just
they capture them. Yeah, he's not from the planet.
Yeah. And so
I wish I remember the species of Korg's characters.
Yeah, whatever. The rock people.
Rock people. That's a racist term to them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so they're all in the maw and they're fighting, and like this is where Hulk's like, okay, like don't worry, I'll be able to take him on. And so he actually gets burned by the lava and stuff, but he just like picks up a whole rock, like a gigantic boulder, and throws it on top of the lava monsters, and he lives with Korg and a couple other people that are, you know, his teammates for the rest of the book.
Good job, guys. Here's a restraining disc for all of you.
Yeah. So then they officially get, I guess before they didn't have restraining discs, that they just were taken down.
Yeah.
Like I think they're weak enough that they didn't have to have restraining discs. But now that they've passed the maw, they have to have restraining discs because you can't have them be around too strong, be around like the Emperor and normal people. So they get the restraining disc put on them after the maw, and then they're like, all right, kill each other. And so then they have to fight each other, and
that gets like interrupted like right away though.
It gets interrupted because they send out like a bunch of the brood.
The brood.
And the brood are like these other insects that aren't in the movie. And they're actually like enemies from Marvel Comics past. So I know the Avengers have fought them and stuff. Yeah. But they're like these big, kind of like, think of them like wasps, but they're, you know.
Yeah, they kind of, to me, they kind of look like a cross between like a wasp, maybe like a dragonfly because they have multiple wings. And then like the head looks like, made me think of like Cell's head from Dragon Ball.
Kind of looks like Cell. Yes. Yeah. You're correct. All you Dragon Ball fans out there. Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, like all these brood show up while they're fighting and everybody's kind of fighting each other. So at the end of all this, there's just one brood, Korg, Meek, one of the silver guys and one of the pink guys, and then like one pink girl. And so that's the team pretty much for the rest of it. But the only ones we really kind of need to focus on are Meek, and then Korg is just there because he's from the movie. He's fun. Because, hey, Korg. So, but he doesn't really have like an arc overall. Like his brother's in one of the fights, but his brother's been like corrupted or something. So he's not even like his brother. And then they like.
But he does feel bad about having to fight him.
Yeah. But then Hulk just picks Korg up and smashes his brother with Korg. And Korg's like, oh my God, like you made me smash my brother. So yeah. So after this big fight, where everybody had to kill each other, whoever was left, I think they needed to fill 7 slots. So they're like, all right, everybody, here's like 100 of you. The last 7 standing get to be like in this team, this gladiator team, who can earn their freedom. And so now that we're down to 7, they like are all sitting around and they like, okay, we're only gonna make this if we like fight together and like be a team kind of thing. And Hulk's like, no team, no friends. Like, and Meek is funny because he's like the least qualified to be there. He just happened to survive all of these different things, and he's just like Meek friend of Hulk.
Yeah,
like,
basically, yeah. Hulk saved him a couple times now,
Yeah.
and he's just like, oh. I will stand with you, Hulk. You're my friend.
Yeah.
Even though I'm probably not gonna do it.
You saved Meek life. Meek love you. Like, yeah. And so then the second one that they get thrown into is like, that's where Korg's brother's out here. Korg's brother appears in front of him, and Korg's like, oh my God, like, no, my brother. I think his name is, he says Margus is his brother. And he like, basically Hulk's like, oh, your brother, huh? Cool. And he just like picks Korg up and hits his brother onto, or no, he picks the brother up and hits the brother onto Korg.
Yeah.
So then Korg shatters him because he's been like corrupted. So his flesh isn't as strong as Korg's. And then the saddest, there's like a panel of Korg just sitting there with like dust in his hands. He's like, my brother, like, I'm so sad. And Hulk's like, all right, like, we're good, right? We won. That's all we cared about. So now that they've done this, they're like scouted to be like, okay, you're officially gladiators. And then they get picked.
I like their gladiator armor.
Yes,
cool.
it is cool. It's like if you found ancient gladiator armor, because it's all covered in like rust and like it looks a little thicker than it should be because there's like years of patina on it and shit. Like it's like the shittiest armor you could have, but this is what you get, you know. So as opposed to like the Emperor's stuff. So yeah, we get they finally like, okay, they're gonna team up. They actually like say, okay, like together we can do it. You know,
oh yeah,
like,
they do the little hands in.
They
That's
put
right.
their little hands in, and even Hulk puts his hand in. They're like, strong team, like, you know. And so they get, I guess they get 3 tries to win their freedom.
Yeah, there's 3 main trials they have to go through. If they get through, they have to get through all 3 to win their freedom.
Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly.
I don't know if anyone has. This is kind of like the Running Man, where like, yeah, they won, and now they're on a beautiful vacation. And then there's like a fake, you know, video screen where they show the guy, and he's like with a bunch of naked women on a beach, and he's like, ah, and then like, then you find out later they're just like, that's just their face superimposed on someone else's body, and they're actually burned to death in like a locker or whatever. But yeah, like, so Hulk is like, okay, like, you know, we're gonna fight together, and I don't really care about this shit. I'm just waiting. I'm just biding my time until I can kill the Emperor, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because basically, Hulk. That's one thing. Hulk never ever doubts himself in this at all. The only time he doubts himself is when he's like, Hulk is a monster. So like they're like, Hulk, you're our savior. He's like, no, Hulk is a monster. You know, like, because he thinks he's bad, and I think that's because Banner is his conscience or whatever.
Yeah.
So like Banner puts that shit in him, but I think Hulk himself is like, no, I'm fucking awesome. Yeah. Whenever he's like, you think you can hurt Hulk? Deal with this shit. You know, like he never doubts his own strength or whatever. I kind of love that. It's kind of like in Dragon Ball or in one of the, like anything, or Superman even. Like whenever his strength is called on, he can magically meet that need or whatever, you know? So like Hulk's one of those characters that like the stronger you push against him, then magically now this
the
is how
angrier he gets, then he's stronger.
Exactly. It makes more sense than Superman. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like Superman sometimes can't punch someone, and other times he can turn the world backwards and turn time backwards.
Yeah. What the situation calls for. Hulk, yeah, at least it's like you punch Hulk 100 times, and every time he just gets a little bit stronger because that's how his power works, supposedly. So.
Exactly. It's like, well, the more you make him angry.
Yeah.
So,
well, I assume every time you get punched, you get angrier. That's me.
Potentially. Yeah. So, like, yeah, that's pretty much like the first couple of these issues are like them going through different trials to where they finally get to like, I think it's the last trial. They're like, okay, we're gonna send the Hulk out to fight our like biggest warrior, and you don't know who it is. You're like, oh, who's this like giant warrior that they're gonna make him fight? They're gonna fight everybody. Everybody's gonna go out and fight this guy, but mainly it's to kill the Hulk because they know everybody else is like not that powerful.
And like they're working as a team, but Hulk's doing
Hulk's doing the lifting, the heavy lifting. So they're like, go get the hero or whatever. Like they don't say who it is, and at first I was confused because I thought, is Thor in this? Because I didn't remember Thor being in this, but he's in the movie, so maybe it is Thor. I can't remember. And then it turns out, and this was actually cool. Like this was a cool twist for me, not having read it and the movie tricking me. Was it's actually Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer. I don't know. I guess he hadn't been in the comics for a while or something because they just throw him in there like, hey, I've been gone for a long time. I fell through this portal while surfing through space, and I ended up here. And they were able to get like a fucking disc on me and like turn me into one of their fighting slaves. But like he was able to take everybody down apparently, except like he couldn't remove the disc. So he basically won his freedom, and this is kind of where you see like winning your freedom just means like I'm putting you on a shelf or whatever, and you're never getting out of here.
Yeah.
So Hulk's, they get into the arena, and then it shows Silver Surfer, and they call him the Silver Savage.
Silver Savage.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
And I like that his surfboard is like a big shield on, like he's holding on one arm. It was really cool. It was a good design.
Well, the shield is his surfboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Oh, that was that one. I wasn't paying attention to you, John. No. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the picture because I actually have the book in front of my face. And he's got like a big mace, and he's got the big surfboard. It's fucking awesome. And I like this because they kind of did the reverse of what's in the movie.
Yeah.
Where like Silver Surfer appears, and they're like, Hulk's like, Silver Surfer, is that you? And Surfer's like, yes. And he's like, I know that guy or whatever kind of thing. And then Surfer attacks him and just fucking right in his fucking face. And Hulk's like, oh my God. Like it's weird because like Hulk sometimes talks like a brute, and then sometimes he's like, hey, I know that guy or whatever. Like he's straight. He talks differently when he's surprised or whatever, which is it's kind of fun. But yeah, and this he talks very very like straightforward, but also when he's hulking out, he's very like one word sentences or whatever, or like not very thought out. But then he's able to talk like when he's strategizing against like fighting the Emperor. He's like full, like when he's not in battle, he can talk like full sentences, everything. But
if he's raging out, he's like Hulk smash.
Yeah, he's like Hulk smash, you puny punk or whatever, And then but then when he's like afterwards, he's like, yes, I think we should all like band together and fight. So they're all fighting Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer's like kicking their ass, and Hulk's just getting madder and madder and madder. So they're able to take him down, but then in that process, they smash his disc, and Silver Surfer's like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, this is the best part. He's like, oh, thank you, friend.
Yeah,
and like he's like trying to like come back from like being basically like controlled with the bolt,
right?
And he's like, Hulk, it's okay, we're friends. And then Hulk's like, just keeps smashing the crap.
Yeah, that's right. Like Hulk's like, friend, smash, smash, smash. Like, oh, like stop hitting me. We're friends now. Remember, we're friends. And so he breaks the disc, and then that Silver Surfer killed the disc of a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's right. He uses his like cosmic powers now, and
he's able to like free all of them. Like the Hulk's team, and then like a bunch of other people in the stands, I think, as well. And then so they actually like are able to break free. And we see like after the battle, and I guess this world is so like in destitute means like the planet is dry, there's nothing green that grows. But wherever Hulk bleeds on the ground, a plant starts to grow. And people see that and they're like, oh, he is the Scar Son. And then like, apparently there's like a local legend about this Scar Son who will like free the world. There's like a world breaker and a world freer.
Yeah.
And they think he's a Scar Son, which is like the world freer, whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah, he's gonna bring new life to the world and liberate like basically all the people from rule.
Yeah. And so then after this point, after where their discs are broken, it's like not in the arena at all because they get out and then like
And they're kind of like out like in the outskirts.
Yeah, they're close enough that I guess it's where the Emperor can still attack because the Emperor has ships, like actual like flying vessels that have bombs and stuff, and they try to like bomb him a couple times, but then they find out, oh, Hulk can't be blown up, so that's interesting because that's like at the very end of that last arena fight. There's like they try to drop a bomb on him, and then it turns out everybody else died. That was like part of the stands and stuff because the king doesn't give a fuck about them. But like Hulk was like, he jumps up like before the bomb can blow up.
Oh yeah, they kind of like
jumps
block
up.
it.
Yeah, and there's like Korg blocks some of them. So pretty much, I think only like Korg, Meek, and like 2 other people are left alive from their 7.
Yeah.
After that bomb blows up, and Silver Surfer just flies away on his own.
Yeah, Surfer's
He's like, peace out.
I'm going back to. I don't know if he's going back to be the Herald or if he's just going back to.
I don't know.
Or if he's just going to be.
I don't know. I haven't read any Silver Surfer after this or anything. So, but he was very cool in this book. He actually made me want to read Silver Surfer. So
that's true. This is the first time, like, because like I've seen Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four comics, and like it's cool. But usually he's only there because he's like Galactus is coming.
Right.
So this was cool to have him kind of be his own. In a sense, for a little bit, even though he's being controlled, it was fun.
Right, yeah, it was very cool. So we see like he can't be like Hulk can't be destroyed by the bombs and whatnot. So the Emperor's like, okay, we're gonna actually have to like fight him, and this is where you get like, okay, we're gonna meet all of these other characters, families or races and stuff. So you get to see where Meek comes from, you get to see where the pink people come from, and where the silver people come from.
All their little backgrounds.
Yeah, you see
I like
all this
Meeks
stuff.
because they're it's like kind of like a hive mind. Like they're all like one bug together, and
they can chem is what they call. They're chemming,
yeah.
And it's like they can talk to each other. They can actually show memories to everybody. They can show it to whoever they want apparently because Meek can show the other people like Hulk and everybody what his thoughts are or the history of his people just by like chemming, he calls it. So I think it's like pheromones or something. And then also everybody in his tribe can chem to each other, so they all know like the pain of whoever's feeling what at what time, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like all a hive mind that they can share together. Yeah, and then we see like, oh, Meek is actually like the son of the old king of the insects, and he was murdered by the pink people. So Meek hates the pink people, and then like there's just all this like inner turmoil between the group. And sometimes they're like, we hate you, and then they start to like fight, and then Hulk comes over and they're even like, we hate you too, Hulk, and they stab him. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to. Like I always thought they were like gonna betray Hulk eventually, and then they never do. But they always like there's always a fight, and then Hulk's like, I guess because Hulk can't really get hurt by them, he just kind of like lets him stab him, and he's like, really? Are you really gonna stab me? Do you want this? You know I'm the Hulk. And they're like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're right. What was I thinking?
Where I was in my mind. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So we get all this back and forth with like each kind of group and like who killed who in the past and what had happened. And apparently there was a group, or there's this like all the people in this outskirts, and this is actually how the Emperor came to power. So we get the story of it was a nice world, then all of a sudden one day these things called spikes came and crashed on the planet, and they're like infecting parasites or mold
some kind
or
of
whatever
spore that goes into people.
So once they infect you, they kind of like make you a zombie basically. So and there's no way to stop them. You can like try to kill them all or freeze them. I can't remember how they exactly stopped them in the first place, but
I think it's some kind of fire.
Yes, that's what it is. Fire
burn
keeps them back. So the Emperor was able to like save everybody in quotation marks, but like he actually controls the spikes now. So like he actually saves them, and then like when people are uprising, he'll just like, oh, the spikes came back. and then like shoot a missile with spikes in them, and then it infects a bunch of people, and then we need the Emperor to save us because he knows how to save us. So that's how he like keeps him in check. And so we see that like he does that a couple times where there's like the spikes are fighting or the spikes are like corrupting everybody. All the different people that kind of rose up and tried to follow Hulk. And so like there's this army of spikes now coming behind them that were all these people that were like for them originally. And all of them are like either the pink people or the silver people. And that's where we see like we get this awesome epic fight where finally the spikes are coming and Hulk's kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. And Kai comes over and she's like, okay, I can kill him now. Like I'll take him on. And they fight and they both like she fucking Hulk's about to punch her and she like puts her hand like punches his chest basically, and she makes Hulk go like what the fuck like and flies backwards like. So she's super fucking strong. She's a really cool character.
Yeah,
and I kind of wish they were able to do more with her.
They call it, it's like the old world power, or the old...
Yeah, it's like she has some kind of shadow power or something they call it. And so like she has some kind of gift that was like an old what the old world had or whatever. But yeah, so like they fight and they're kind of like, wow, that was crazy. Like, how are we able to do this? And then all of a sudden the spikes start coming behind them. And they're like, oh shit, we have to run. And then Hulk gets infected by spikes. And this is where like people are like, oh, he is a god, because Hulk gets infected and then he's just like, like whatever. Like he fights him off like with his will inside of himself. He's like, no problem. Like he just like, everybody's like, oh no, Hulk's a spike, run. And then he turns, he's like, nah, I'm okay. I'm all good. And then he like fights the big spike and is able to beat it. And then they start like burning everything in the path, like all the spikes and everything. And that's kind of like where they come together, like where Kai and Hulk kind of meet for the first real time.
Hulk and Kai have like kind of eyeballed each other a couple times since like that first encounter. Like there was a moment where like it was like before one of the fights, like they eyeballed each other from like across the room and thing. And I think she even like she gives Hulk a chance to like go away at one point, and she's like, hey, like obviously there's beef between you and the Emperor because of things that have happened, so why don't you just go away?
Right.
So like this doesn't have to continue. And Hulk's like, no, fuck that.
But Hulk smash.
And she's like, I'm giving you a choice. And like, there's like a little bit of tension, obviously. And I love it. They're like in like, I guess like some nicer gladiator chambers. And Hulk's like, I'm good. Cause at least they know what I like here. And Hulk goes off in their room. There's like some women in there, like lightly touching his back and stuff. It was a cool panel.
Yeah. And she looks kind of jealous-ish or whatever.
Yeah. And then they meet on the battlefield, and I like Hulk's like facial expressions and like, okay, little girl, like, you're gonna fight me. Mm-hmm.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah,
you know what I can do.
So that was fun. Yeah, and then like he does that, she does that to him, and like all his armor flies off, and he's like, he's like, whoa, but then he's like, all right, like, like it's
he is into it.
You can see the little bit, like the way it's drawn is really cool. They really depicted like that extra sense of like feeling and like, without saying like, oh man, like it was cool. I really,
it was like sexual
that.
tension in the drawing, which was cool to like it was cool to pick up on. Like I think it was obvious because like as a reader you could pick up on it, but if you're a kid you might not notice it because you'd be like, why are they like slyly looking at each other?
Why are they like smiling at each other?
Yeah.
Weird. That's all. I enjoyed that a lot. The art in this, like I said, even with all of the different artists, was really nice. All of the planet is a very dull, brownish, grayish planet, but then all of the characters themselves, even the silver people, have a vibrant color to them and really pop and stand out. And it's a nice contrast. Like even the Emperor, like all of his like futuristic kind of technology on top of this like dusty, dirty, gross planet was kind of cool. And they also incorporate so it's like old, dusty, dirty planet, futuristic kind of tech as far as he's got like flying ships and whatnot, but they also have like some old world stuff incorporated. Like there was like there's like creatures and stuff that are like hauling around like people on their backs, like in like the like little like holding compartments and stuff. It was a cool mix of things. Like I saw where they like kind of pulled elements from different, like I'm sure they got ideas from like Gladiator.
I think a lot of it's like John Carter from Mars.
Exactly.
I think a lot of it's from that, not directly stolen.
But it feels like and that's a great reference for that. It feels like that
because there's like insect people in that, and there's like I've only seen the movie. I haven't read the books. I want to read the books, but
that's one of the old. It's inspired Star Wars and a lot.
Exactly.
Of everything.
I haven't got to it yet, but there's like a good mix of technology for like the high class people, and then like dirt farmers or whatever. Like they have horses or whatever the equivalent of horses would be, like beasts of burden, and they live in grass huts or whatever. If you're not in the capital, city.
I just in general, I like the way that they blended it all together into a Marvel story. And it was cool.
It was very cool. So, kind of back to the story, we got this. So the spikes are chasing them still, and like basically, what happens is because Meek can chem and he can transfer his thoughts to people, and everybody can kind of talk to each other through Meek. We find out like since some of his people have been corrupted by the spikes, he can talk to the spikes now, and so Hulk can talk to the spikes through Meek. And basically Hulk like figures out, okay, they're not actually like mean, horrible things. They just need to feed, and they actually are like they're supposed to be feeding off suns or something like that. And their ship got sucked into this portal, and that's why it's here. And we actually find out the portal is opened up by like the Emperor himself. So like the Emperor has been like basically dragging people here, and then being like, "Oh, look, there's something wrong. I can fix it or whatever." And so yeah, like he basically is able to help the spikes get off the planet and stop attacking people. And they feed off of him. That was like because he's so strong, they're like, "We are so hungry, Hulk," and he's like, "No, I mean like just suck on my arm." And like I don't know if you saw the art for that. Oh, it's so fucking good. He's like sitting in a chair after like basically the battle's over because he's figured out how to appease the spikes, and everybody else is kind of like, okay, well at least the spikes are dead and not dead, but like they're stopping fighting us, and we don't have to like worry about becoming spikes. So like the leader of the spikes are like, hey, like you can help us build our ship and get off the planet, but until then, like we need to feed, and we don't want to kill anybody else. So can we feed off you? And Hulk's like, yeah, no problem. So he gives him like his arm. And like his arm turns into like from like a big Hulk arm, his left arm turns into like a little baby shriveled arm. And he even like starts to fade. Like you see his hand fading and becoming like a banner hand because like it's like they're draining him so much because normally they eat on stars. So it's crazy that like Hulk has that much power or whatever. It's kind of cool to see like he's got more power than like a sun or whatever, kind of thing. So eventually they are able to actually get the spikes into a ship and get off the planet. And that's when the Emperor's like, man, fuck this. He's basically turned everybody against me, and now I have to fight him. And so he comes down in his mech armor, and he thinks he can beat Hulk. Well, guess what? Hulk smash. And so Hulk, I mean, there's a fight, but it's not a very big fight. He tries to shoot like everything at Hulk. He tries to like throw lava at him and like blow up, a piece of the planet so that the lava's falling in there or like coming out of the planet and like hurts him so much. But basically he's able to just like get through that because he's Hulk and who cares. He basically puts the Emperor in an area where the Emperor has let like these giant mech monsters, I guess. They're like mech insects.
Yeah.
And they like have ravaged all these like farms and stuff for ages. And he's never helped these farmers out during all this time. And basically he stands up, Hulk throws him over there, and he stands up, he's like, like I'm gonna get you, you can't. And then like he turns around and there's all these mech bugs and they're like about to attack him, and he's like, fuck. Like, and so basically he just gets killed off screen by these mech bugs or whatever that he like let ravage all these farmers. So then Hulk is like king of the planet basically. They haven't said so yet, but like He basically is. Everybody's like, "Thank you, Sakaar."
Basically, yeah. The silver guy that's part of the group is basically like, he will be King Hulk. It made me feel like King Conan.
Yes, very much like he's just
Like
a barbarian who's beat everybody into submission, and then finally everybody's like, you know what, you're okay.
Yeah. If you're in charge and everything's gonna be okay now, you can be in charge.
We're okay. We're good with that. So that's when we see like, so now that everything's peaceful and the Emperor's gone, finally, Kai and Hulku, she calls him.
Hulku.
They get a little romantic. I mean, like basically she's like, okay, like now we can forge a new way on this planet.
Yeah.
And since they're both like equally strong, like he talks to her people and they're like, well, you could have her as your like emissary, kind of like your
body
king of the guards, just like or your head of the guards, just like she was with the other guy. And he's like, no, I want a queen.
Yeah.
And he looks at her right in the eye and she's like, oh, Hulku.
This was really cool. I like this too because like they've hinted at Banner a couple times through this a little bit. Like they've teased it.
There was in the middle of this whole storyline. There was like a giant issue of giant size Hulk #1, which was just like a little side story where like Banner's more in it, but it's all like in his head kind of thing.
Yeah, and like, but that's what I mean is like they've teased it, and like Meek rubbed his eyes once because he thought he saw like Hulk turn into Banner for a split second, and then like the arm thing. Like they know there's something a little different there's some kind of inner thing with Hulk too.
Yeah,
and
Hulk has actually referenced Banner, like, stupid Banner, think he's smart or whatever. And they're like, who's Banner? He's like, never mind.
and so like he says queen, and then they kind of have like their like romantic evening, and she's like, I want to know all of you. And so like he like reverts and lets her see Banner.
Yeah. And this was like a very touching scene, I thought. Like it was a very like
Hulk let his guard down for her.
Hulk lets his guard down and turns into Banner in front of her. Like he's kneeling in front of her and she's like, I want to see you. Will you kneel with me as I kneel with you? And then she's like, I want to see all of you. You know, I want you to bare your soul to me. Show him to me. And so Hulk's like, okay. And he like basically like lets go. And then all of a sudden he turns into Bruce, and Bruce is all small and everything. And she's like, who? And he's like, I'm Bruce. You know, you asked me to you asked, so the Hulk let me out. He wanted you to see him, all of him, and all of us. And then, so then she's like turned on by that. Yeah. And she like instantly goes in for a kiss. Then like he puts his hand on her back as Banner, and then turns right back into the Hulk right as they're like making love.
Wow,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is a Marvel book, so it's not very graphic, but I thought this was a very like well done scene, touching, like a very sensual scene.
Yeah, it really gave a connection for Hulk that you never really have seen before. It gave him like that he's vulnerable and he can be loved and love something. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, that's not normal for like a Hulk book usually.
No.
And so now, you know, he comes out the next morning and it's him in like a robe and he's like naked, I'm assuming, and he's just like him with like a blanket like draped over him. And then, like, his queen is under his arm, and she's barely wearing anything, too. And they're just standing in front of everybody, and everybody's like, yeah, you guys fucked. Or whatever. So it's just funny. And then, kind of like what the big, like, fuck you to Bruce and, like, to the Hulk in this happens, which is we get, so everything's good. Everybody's happy. And they found Hulk's ship, his original ship that he came in on. And everybody's kind of like working on it and seeing if maybe they can reverse it to like get some technology to help them out. And which you think there would be because it's like made from Reed Richards and everybody. And they're messing with it. And basically it goes into like meltdown mode.
Well, the video comes on and they all learn about what happened to Hulk.
Yeah, everybody sees like
they see the Illuminati characters,
buddy.
And they're like, yeah, hey.
Oh, for everybody, the Illuminati is the what they call all the heads of the Marvel families or whatever. So that's their name. Which coincidence?
Yeah.
I think not. But yeah,
Black Bolt's one of them too.
Yeah, Black Bolt, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, and then Shield is part of it. But you know, just as for like approval or whatever.
I'm sure for money.
Yeah, for the government, you know. You got to have the government in there somewhere.
But yeah, they all learn and Meek's like, "Oh, this is horrible, Hulk." Like, This is what happened to you? And
Yeah, like why? No wonder you wanted to get away from them. No wonder you hate them so much. And then because of like the ship is damaged, all of a sudden it's like going to blow in 10, 9, 8, and then like everybody's like, what the fuck? And it's like one of the most fucked up scenes ever. Hulk's like, oh, I need to like, I can't do anything about it. Like it's blowing up. What the fuck am I supposed to do about it? And it just sets everybody on fire. It blows the whole planet up, cracks the planet's like core. So the whole planet dies because of the fucking Illuminati. It kills her. It kills.
So they didn't even. So they what that ultimately means probably is that they sent Hulk to wherever, but they ultimately probably planned to kill him too.
Potentially, because there was a bomb or something on that.
Why is there a bomb great enough to destroy a freaking planet in Hulk's ship?
Yeah, and either it was just because maybe the drive or something was whatever was used to propel it, but
maybe
I don't know.
That seems kind of.
Why would you make a ship that Hulk can damage in the first fucking place? But anyway, so it blows up, and Hulk's like, my wife or whatever, and he goes and he grabs onto Kai. And he's like, he's guarding her from the flames, or from the blast, but it's so strong, it basically dissolves her in his fucking hands.
Yeah,
and it is so fucking sad. She comes over and he's like, Kyra, and she's like, don't worry, Hulku, I will never leave you. As she's dissolving, and basically, like. No one's left. Like the planet is eviscerated, or that whole city where the ship was is gone now. And then it cracked the tectonic plates of the world. So now everything's burning in like molten lava and flames. And yeah, so
there's literally only a few people left. I guess like Korg shielded Meek.
Yeah, right. Because Korg is stone or whatever, and Meek we should say. So at first he was like a little weak bug, like he is in the movie, but then
he like molts.
He like I guess takes his birthright or whatever and like becomes a giant like warrior bug, which is fucking awesome. He's like, I king make now, like and he like hulks out in his own way and becomes like this big fat like tall bug compared to all the other bugs. He's got like a big shell. He just looks like a badass warrior. He looks like his dad did in the flashbacks.
Yeah.
For Meek, that Meek remembered. So, yeah. So now everybody's dead except like Korg, Meek, and I think the Brood. And he just wants her back, but now he can't have her back. So, he takes whoever he can that's left alive off the planet, and he's like, okay, time to leave, and we're gonna go back to Earth, and we're gonna get fucking revenge.
We're gonna make them pay, yeah,
on the Illuminati. So that's where, like John was saying, after Civil War happens in the comics, then you have all the heroes hate each other and are like fighting each other. Then right after that, World War Hulk happens, where he arrives back with all his gladiator buddies.
They're like, Hulk, where you been? And he's like, yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you just murdered my fucking wife that I love. The only person that's ever like truly loved me. I mean, Banner had a love, and I think Hulk's had a couple love interests. But I think this was like
it's the first
really well built for it being a 12-issue or 13-issue story. Like really felt compelling. Like their love meant something to him.
Well, yeah, he kind of found his equal as far as strength almost.
Yeah,
like. There was like a physical part to it, and then they just finally reached an emotional part of it,
right?
And then bam, she gets killed.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, that sucks.
And he was finally happy. He finally had a planet. Like they wanted to send him to a peaceful planet, they sent him to a war planet, and then he takes over the war planet. He brings peace to that planet, and then they blow up the fucking planet that he just brought peace to. So, yeah, he's pissed. World War Hulk. Maybe we'll do that in a future book.
Now, because I want to read if they knew that it was something that could blow up like that, or if they planned it. Because now I want to know if it's what I'm thinking. Because it's been so long. I know I read it too, but I don't remember if they.
Yeah, I read that as it came out in the event. So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. I know that book is expensive. That book is like a big fat because it's like everything that because they had a bunch of tie-ins through everything else. So But yeah, we can maybe just read the main War
story.
Hulk story. Yeah.
I think I did that a lot too, because I remember with Civil War, I read a lot of the side, not all, but I read a lot of side stories, and it got to be a lot. And
Yeah.
so, like,
That's how they make money. Is they like, oh, don't you want to know what Punisher's doing during the Civil War? They're like, I guess. Do I need to? Maybe it might enhance your.
We'll read these 4 issues and find out.
Yeah, exactly.
And Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. It's every hero, yeah, they have their own side thing. So they're in the main comic, but they also have their side thing going on too.
So I found, just personally, and for anybody listening, if there's an event going on, just read the event.
Yes.
And if you really love Spider-Man and you were already buying it, then okay, buy the Spider-Man 1 too. But like, I liked Captain America, and when Civil War was going on, I was already buying. I had Captain America 1 through 23 or whatever. Civil War happens, so then I just kept buying Captain America, and it was called Captain America Civil War.
Same.
Whatever. So whatever you're already buying, keep buying that. And if you want to read the event, then just read the main event book. So yeah, on that note, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so, man. I think we covered great. Like, everything ticked the box and notches in this comic. I really enjoyed rereading it. It felt fresh again too.
Yeah, like, especially because after the movie came out, and I was like, oh yeah, it's that story.
It's that story.
It wasn't that story at all.
No,
so.
they like cherry picked some elements, which is fun, and they made those elements real, and it was cool in the movie, and I like that for what it is. But this was a great read and a great comic.
You know what they could do is they could have they could have had it so like Thor gets away, but Hulk is still stuck on the planet, and then you could do the Hulk Planet Hulk storyline.
Yeah.
But whatever, they do what they do.
That's okay. Well, partially to the only thing I got to say to give Marvel credit for what they do when they change up story elements. Obviously, it's they're trying to make it different enough too and appeal to everybody, but it's a rights thing too, because Universal still shares rights to Hulk with Marvel Studios.
Oh, right.
So that's why why
there's never been a Hulk movie.
Another Hulk movie. Yeah. He can be in side stories, but he hasn't had his own movie again yet.
True.
And I think right now, honestly, I think Universal is the only one that owns a group of some Marvel characters.
I wonder who else they own.
Well, they own all of the Hulk thing, and I think they own part like Submariner and a couple other.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Okay.
But that's why they haven't done that. And then Sony Sony owns all of the main Spider-Man and that arc of stuff.
Right. Huh. I knew Sony, but I knew that Universal still owned Hulk, but I didn't know they owned the other stuff. So interesting.
Yeah. Well, I forgot about how many properties Marvel has, and like, so you look back when they went bankrupt, basically had to sell all that.
Yeah, Stan Lee literally sold all those rights so that Marvel would still be a company.
Yeah. And I mean, like.
And then they spent I don't know how much money trying to get them back. 5 years later.
Now that Disney owns it, they're gonna they'll get them all eventually. Yeah. Which I mean, normally I wouldn't. But I'm down for continuing a cohesive Marvel universe in movies too. But anyway, long story short, that's what's going on there, and that's why we're not. That's why we won't get a definitive full Hulk story for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, but they could always do this anytime, because all you have to do is go, Hulk gets sent to a planet. It's maybe it's like the planet that, we saw in the Thor one, but maybe not exactly the same. So that way, maybe it is more like this one, where it's like more John Connor of Mars style, as opposed to the kind of.
Yeah, they could do it. They could literally do the same story and change because they went to that. It was the same planet named Sakaar.
Oh yeah, you could do it afterwards. Like maybe now there's a new emperor that came after Jeff Goldblum, and now it's.
Yeah,
same kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah, he could go back to the same planet, or it could be they could just literally do the same story on a different planet, and it would fit fine.
Right. Yeah. Who cares if it's called Sakaar or whatever?
Yeah.
But
anyway, but this comic was a great read. It was,
and you don't need to know anything.
Yeah.
All you need to know is Hulk green.
If you do you enjoy the Hulk in general? Do you like seeing him beat up things? You know enough about that portion? Go pick up this comic, because it is a great read.
Fantastic. And I would say, I mean, as a like I said, I never read Hulk before. I walked into a store after not reading comics for like 15 years, and the first issue of this was on the shelf. I'm like, okay, it's Hulk in gladiator garb. That sounds cool. That's what the cover was. Then you open it up, and the artwork in the interior was good. The writing was good. I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't even know this was like a new story really or anything. And then just kept buying it. And then eventually everybody was like, that's such a, like no one was buying Hulk at this time. So like those issues are really rare and hard to find because it's like basically towards the end of that run of Hulk. And so no one was buying this. It was like a random story that I guess Greg Pak was like, hey, this is dying. Can I like do my own thing? And they're like, sure. And so it ended up being so big that they did World War Hulk event after Civil War. And then like those issues are really expensive now. So unfortunately I sold them.
I did too, before the whole all of everything else took off.
I should have waited till Thor movie came out, but whatever.
Yeah.
But they were worth a lot when I sold them anyway. So so that was nice. But, but they're not like the most valuable thing, but it's like for a comic nowadays, they are worth a good chunk of money, especially if you have the whole run or whatever. So what would you give this comic, John?
I'd say an 8. Like it was a solid story, great art. And obviously, like you're saying, I'm trying to be a little more like it's not a game changer, but in John's book, like it was a good story. I totally, like I said, I've already read it. Coming back to it, it felt refreshing to read it again. Like I still was like, oh whoa, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
I forgot that happened. That's a cool element. I really enjoyed it again. So yeah,
I'm giving this an 8 too.
Yeah.
While it wasn't like a groundbreaking story, it was like, okay, I think Greg Pak invented every character in this other than Hulk. You know, he created the whole storyline. That's also probably why they didn't do it. They didn't want to give in the movie. They didn't want to have to pay Greg Pak for every character. They already have to pay him for Korg, Meek, and maybe the Emperor. I don't know. It's not the same guy, so maybe not. But Sakaar, they named the planet Sakaar. So every time those things are mentioned in the movie, he gets like a check or whatever. So he's already getting paid for that. So good for him. But this book, I mean, picking it up as someone who never read Hulk before and being able to just, oh, cool, like I get it. Everything makes sense. Was very nice as a new reader of Hulk. And then this time reading it after the movies and all that stuff, it was cool to have like, oh, this is like different and fun and a cool story and also very touching. I was like when Kai dies, I was like, damn you, like Hulk just found the one, like
Hulk find love. No,
yeah, and I forgot that happened too. I thought she was maybe on like with him during the World War Hulk stuff. So. Because I mean, Hulk doesn't need his wife his wife and love to be killed to be mad at the Illuminati on Earth, to like want to have war. So I forgot that was the like main reason.
He could have been. It could have been him living there for a year, being peaceful, but always having like a little dark side. And then she's finally like, Hulk, what's wrong? And so
Hulk, what wrong?
I didn't mean to make her revert to Hulk talk, but yeah, Hulk's what's wrong? And he's like, oh. The one thing that's always been bugging me is that why I was sent here. And she's like, well, let's go kill those mothers.
Yeah, I'm a warrior. You're a warrior.
Let's go do this. They totally could have done that.
Yeah.
And it still would have been impactful. But they made it like they gave Hulk like the last straw of like, I'm going to kill everybody.
Oh, also, she's pregnant.
That's right.
Yeah,
man.
I forgot to say that. Yeah, she has, after the first night, she's like, feel my stomach, Hulk. It's your brood, or like it's your.
Yeah, she. There was like a 3 series line. She's like, "We'll be together for whatever, and we'll do this. We do it for you. We do it for me. We do it for this." And yeah, she puts Hulk's hand on her stomach, and
yeah, and it's like a panel of Hulk going like,
"Why do this is a side note because of this now? It's like, why do the strongest super beings also have the strongest super sperm? It's like one time and Superman.
Well,
Hulk."
How else would it work? Come on. Yeah, Superman and Wonder Woman, when they get it on, it's because also their wombs are super.
Okay, that's true.
And I'm glad, that Kai was, even though she's like not a human, she's an alien, that they're, compatible somehow. So, but yeah, I like this book. We both gave it an 8. We highly suggest you all pick it up. It is very touching and moving and fucking badass and awesome all in the same time.
Yeah, very well-rounded story.
Yeah, very, very good story. And on that note, I think we will see you guys next time.
Hulk, see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.